As I kind of guessed last episode, when Rock went to the Chinese restaurant supply company and spoke with one of the co-owners, when he mentioned that he had another brother, I just had the inkling that, like, somehow Rock is going to end up getting into this company, and it's likely going to be through the other brother. Here it is that we meet him, and it's like, you know, the show has like these little comedic moments in the midst of the drama, and I'm sitting there and it's like Rock is kind of smirking at the conversation between the two brothers, and I'm sitting there smirking too, because it's like she's going through the same thing with Lou, and it's not funny when it's her. But here it is that you have like the other brother is sitting on the meeting, and he's just a hot mess. You know, the one brother is like, you know, straight-laced about his business and whatnot. Him and Rock are talking terms. He's being like kind of tough, which I would expect. You know, you're taking risks and stuff like that with having these drugs on your trucks and your people distributing it. It's like, you're going to want to make sure that the reward is worth the risk that you're taking. No problem there. You got this problem child sitting in the corner, carrying on like just an absolute spoiled brat, you know, and it turns out like the other brother, he's like an addict, he lacks self-control, just very childish and immature. And to end things, his whole thing about that he's going to tell mom, I was sitting there like, man, like this seems a lot like Lou and Rock's situation right now. The only thing is that like, Lou is more somber rather than being, I mean, he cries a lot. He's a bit of a crybaby. But he's like more somber with his, rather than this like goofy, childish, emotional outburst, temper tantrum situation. You know? And this thing of like, I'm gonna go tell mom that just killed it for me was, you know, Rock's like, oh, you sound like you're gonna be in trouble with your mom. It's like, turns out the mom's been dead for like 10 years. I lost it at that point. Like, I couldn't help but to laugh. I thought the whole scene was just hilarious. When you look at the show, it's like these parallels between siblings, right? You think about it that Kanan and Jukebox, they are cousins, but they grew up close together like brothers and sisters, right? For a period of their childhood, Rock was raising both of them, right? And for all intents and purposes, she pretty much looks at Jukebox as being her daughter, you know? And you then have Rock with her two brothers. You have Unique and his brother Ronnie. And then here you have the supply company guys, them as brothers. And it's like this thing about family where, you know, you have like the responsible one looking out for like the irresponsible ones, or the ones that are problematic and need a little bit more help. And just like the push and pull of these relationships. You know, of trying to kind of rein in that problematic sibling only to have things go, you know, belly up. And so it's interesting to see these different sibling type relationships play out, you know, in so many different ways. But like a common thread throughout them is like the dysfunction. You know, I like that. Like it's something that you see repeated through the show, but it's done in ways where it feels fresh and different. And as part of that, Kanan and Jukebox. I knew from last episode where Kanan ditched Aisha for, I wasn't sure of the other girl's name. I was calling her Showboat, but I guess it's Crystal. Him, you know, ditching Aisha to pick up with Crystal, and just knowing that that was going to bring drama in the group. Here you have it where, you know, Jukebox, they're in rehearsals, Bud is in rehearsals. Jukebox speaks up and for the time being is elected by the manager to be the group's lead. Something that they've been kind of going back and forth about for a little while. Crystal is not happy about it, so that gives her problems with Jukebox. And then just being in general a messy person, you know, and looking down on Aisha, you have her dealing with Kanan. So it's like, for the other two members of Butter, there's no problem really between Jukebox and Aisha. From the outset, they met, they meshed well, they got along really well. The two of them are cool in the group, you know? the question I would ask is, I kind of got the sense that, was there potential for that to be more than friends there? Like, Jukebox wasn't pushing up on Aisha, but what was Aisha's interest level, if any? Because it's like she was just talking to Kanan and whatnot, but you kind of get, especially because early on in the episode, they're sitting in, I think it's Jukebox's room. Jukebox telling Aisha about Nicole and kind of opening up to her and telling her about, not really in detail, but about Nicole passing away and things like that, so adding like depth to their relationship, right? Because she's making herself vulnerable. She's sharing about this deeply traumatic event in her life, and I liked it that the two of them are supportive of each other. In rehearsals, Aisha is happy for Jukebox that she's selected as the group's lead. Meanwhile, you have Crystal over here where she's such a snotty character, where she's like, upset that Jukebox is lead. They get outside and, Aisha is happy and excited and whatnot about Jukebox, and they're joking around and whatnot. They seem like just normal kids. Nice, refreshing break in the show. And only to get outside and you see Kanan is there to meet up with Crystal, and they're like making out just across the street. And it's like, Kanan is kind of foul for that, right? Because it's like, Jukebox has an opportunity to be successful in this group. And here it is that you're bringing drama to this thing that she has going. And it's like, why? She has, just a few episodes ago, you were going on and on about how proud of her you were. And, finally, someone from the Southside, an opportunity for them to do something with their lives and to go on and be something great, and that you were so happy for her. And it's like, were you really, though? Like, he took her out to that dinner and they celebrated, but you think about it, like, it kind of seems like sabotage when you think of it. Jukebox has this opportunity to be a part of a group, and to be quite honest, like, some of the other songs, I was like, but this song was like, actually, be like, okay, like, this is kind of cool. I could see this being hot in the 90s. And it's like, they're getting there with the dance steps, they're getting it together, like, they've got something nice going here. And in the midst of this, Kanan being selfish basically is sabotaging the group by dealing with Aisha. And it seems like if he stopped talking to her, that would have been fine. But now you're going to turn around and start dealing with Crystal. And you can see Crystal is looking to be petty, and she's going to try to bring drama and whatnot as a result of this. It's like, are you trying to mess this thing up for Jukebox? Because you don't really want her to be successful. You don't really want her to move on and become like, to fulfill like this potential destiny of hers. And it's like, this messed up, man. Like, you're out here trying to be Lil Kingpin, and that's your life stream. Meanwhile, Jukebox is trying to do something else, and this is your reaction. It feels like sabotage. Like, you don't want better for her, despite what you said a few episodes ago. Something that I found to be quite gangster was that we shift scenes to where the other members of Butter are waiting for rehearsal to start. Jukebox is running late. We know that it's because she's gotten into this fight at the train station. And Crystal is there, very, very eager to step up and fill in for Jukebox's lead, because she sees it as a foregone conclusion that Jukebox isn't showing up. Aisha, she's road dog, right? No, Jukebox will be here. She's probably just a little bit late. Let's just wait. Jukebox shows up. Her face is a little bit scratched up and whatnot. But for the most part, she's okay. And you can see it that, like, Crystal is upset. She's kind of shook. You've got a lot of fear from Jukebox now, right? It's like, how cowardly could you be? Like, you didn't try to attack her. You didn't try to, like, step up in the group to be lead or anything like that. Instead, you send these two ruffians after her. You're a coward. And I'm glad that, like, Jukebox was able to get out of that situation. But it just goes to show you that this group isn't going to work out in the long run. You know, that it could have been a great opportunity, but for various reasons, Crystal being selfish and a showboat, it's like, really, I guess we still have to wait to see how things work out. 2 of the 3 members get along well, find a different third member. Or if the group doesn't work out, like Jukebox and Aisha can go off and do their own thing. But given that like the group didn't just fall apart then, I'm curious to see what happens now. You know, does this then bring drama between Kanan and Jukebox? Because they're distant right now, but the 2 of them, I mean, Jukebox confronted him last episode about how he treated Aisha, but it wasn't anything major or whatever, right? Like, she pushed him, but they didn't get into like an actual all-out fight or anything, right? But now you look at it here where this girl that you're dealing with has attacked your cousin. Where do your loyalties lie? Right? Because it's like, my code is, within reason, me and my family can get into it, but outsiders can't intervene. So it's like, Kanan and Jukebox can get into it, but you see like what Kanan told Ronnie, don't ever think about laying a hand on Jukebox. My question is, do you keep that same energy with Crystal?
Thanks for tuning in. To ensure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, go ahead and click the thumbs up button if you like what you saw, and go ahead and share it on social media.